Thursday edition of the NBA Slate Starter Podcast. I'm Eric, joined with my buddy Rayen Patnaik as we break down the 9-game Thursday NBA DFS slate, the last one we have before the All-Star break. Speaking of All-Stars, we had a couple of big performances by MVP candidates. We had Joel Embiid go off in an overtime back and forth. Donovan Mitchell got there. We had all these guys, but especially the All-Star, the one and only TJ McConnell.
Absolutely sensational performance from Mcconnell. Timothy John McConnell, to be exact. 9 steals in the first half.
Put some respect on that name.
Yeah, and then 10 steals on a 70-plus fantasy point performance game. What a game. A historic performance by him. And hopefully you guys rostered him, because I surely didn't.
I have one share of him, and out of my 150 on FanDuel. And it's got Brandon Ingram, and who's the other scrub that I said before we started that was at small forward? I don't know. It was really, really atrocious, and I'm very sad. Oh, man. This is one of the crazier slates that I can remember in terms of like the build-up to it. Fortunately, nothing like nuts happened after the fact, and the Sacramento-LA game just got going just through one quarter. Harrell's starting to put it on, which would be very, very nice. Maybe salvage my night a little bit, but overall, just getting my clock cleaned. So you doing a little bit better than me at least?
Well, a lot of my night depends on this Kings and Lakers game, so hopefully I'm on the good side of things. But as of right now, it's slowly creeping up, but anything can really happen. It can go either one of two ways, so either really good or really bad. So hopefully it's the really good side of things. If not, we got tomorrow to look forward to.
Well, after your little night on Super Draft, it's probably an okay thing. We'll just get it going. If you guys want to look up things, you can let it be known. Kid's a stud. So let's get it going here. We got one slate to roam off. If you want to fire your whole bankroll, no, don't do that. But it's an idea that I had. I was thinking about it. Looking at the top of point guard, let's just get right to it. I'll do some plugs here after the fact, but looking at the top end over on DraftKings, Damian Lillard, 10,700, Russell Westbrook, 10,400, Steph Curry, 10,1. So we've got 3 guys that are pretty clearly sitting above the rest on this slate, up in that 10K range. I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander against San Antonio, 9K. I love Shai, but no thanks. So we're going to be picking straws. Dame is in the absolute nut matchup up against Sacramento. Both teams will be on back-to-backs. Then Russell Westbrook up against the Clippers, tougher matchup, but he's been playing pretty darn well of late. Kind of ran out of steam towards the end of that last game up against Memphis in a blowout. And then Steph Curry up against Phoenix in another tough matchup. I mean, Damian Lillard is really going to shine out of all of those guys, but now he's priced at 10-7 on DraftKings. Is that too much for us to go to on this slate, or should we be looking elsewhere?
Well, Dame Lillard versus Sacramento, 10-7 is not too much. We know the guy's upside, and I think definitely if he puts up a kind of a dud performance today, I think we go right back to him. His ownership will be kind of suppressed. The only thing that really scares me, maybe his price. I know obviously 10-7 on a 9-game slate, you're asking for more than 60 plus on the minimum, but it can happen, especially if he's ownership's going to be low. You definitely take some shots with him. Over there in FanDuel, he's 10-1, much more favorable. I like that price tag. I think going to Westbrook versus Pat Beverly on the other side of things, those guys always just get into it.
Over under 0.5 techs.
And we had this last time when they faced each other. I said 2.5, right?
You did have 2.5. You said it was the under, by the way. I'm letting it be known. There were 0. Unfortunately, we didn't make a $10 bet on that one.
I think they're due. So okay. I will see attack for sure. Westbrook 9-6. I put up 51 fantasy points against the Clippers last time. I think Westbrook is kind of slowly but surely finding his groove in Washington. Over the last, I want to say, dozen games, he's been good. There's not much, there's no lower leg injury concerns, minutes limit and whatnot. So I think heading into the All-Star break, all systems go. I think we can take our shots on Westbrook. And if Kawhi's not there, maybe he gets to dodge the Kawhi defense at any point in the game. So definitely someone we can consider. Steph Curry in a matchup versus Chris Paul in Phoenix. Phoenix is obviously not the easiest matchup. A little hesitant there, but it's Steph Curry. He's matchup proof for sure. And it's De'Aaron Fox on the other side of things versus Portland. Yeah, let's. I think it is a nice little backcourt in FanDuel. You can have both Fox and Lillard. A little mini game stack doesn't sound too bad right now.
I would agree with all of those things. Yeah, looking around the rest of the position, I mean, point guard is one that I never really like to punt too much, but just looking at the beginning of the Sacramento game too, you ended up getting Buddy Hield, who got ruled in, which we'll get to later, because I have a surprise for all of you who think that I hate Buddy Hield. Just, out of the middle of nowhere, that I would disparage Buddy Hield's name the way that I have forever. But anywho, I kind of do hate the guy. Corey Joseph is somebody that you could punt with at 3,400. Playing bigger minutes here of late. I don't know. Just an idea. Right now he's got 7, 2, and 2. I know that those minutes have been down to 18, 16 here of recent days, but something's telling me that he's going to see a little bit of a spike there. I know that that's kind of pulling thin, but that's kind of what you're looking at down here on this bottom end. Reggie Jackson got the surprising start. He's 3,900. He played 37 minutes. We'll see. Kawhi should be good to go here. I would expect at least. I don't know. He's questionable, so I at least want to put it out there that Reggie Jackson played phenomenal down there on the bottom end. If Kawhi ends up getting ruled out, I expect that he's going to be just crazy, crazy popular again. Again, 37 minutes against the Celtics is a big number, so a lot of that had to be alongside Patrick Beverley, who played 27. So they're not going to necessarily be an on-off court like you might expect with them. So Reggie Jackson at the 2, that's an interesting thing. I'm going to have to look into that too. Anybody else you want to touch base on here at point guard?
Yeah, I think we got. How can we not go without mentioning a guy who just put up 70 fantasy points tonight in Timothy John McConnell, priced at $5K. No. He's due. He's gonna put up another 70-point fantasy game.
I believe. What's the opposite of due? He is departed. He has been sent. He's not due. He is I don't know. He's invoiced. I'm done talking. I don't have the opposite of due. I'm going to look up antonyms when we're going over here to shooting guard. Sitting on the top end over on shooting guard. By the way, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you know when all of this and all the other content at Awesemo is going live. Top end, Bradley Beal, 9,900. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 9K over on DraftKings. No thanks. Why do they do this to us where they just price guys out of slates? They did that with Kuzma when AD got ruled out. Now it's like, okay, he's the only option there at OKC, really. Al Horford's probably going to sit on the back-to-back, so maybe a tiny bit of interest because of that, but no thanks. And Paul George, 8,600 against Washington. Obviously, we're going to have a lot of interest in these Clippers in this matchup. That's why I bring up Reggie Jackson. Kawhi Leonard, if he's out, Paul George is just a smash again. We saw him in a much tougher matchup against Boston. I know there was something that was thrown out where for the last month, Washington is 12th in defensive efficiency. However, they are still first in the league in pace. Fire up all the Clippers. Talk to me about the top end of shooting guard.
Yeah, PG. If there's no Kawhi, even better. I think we can definitely ride with Paul George for sure on both sides. 8,600. Nothing scares me about Washington's defense all year long. I think we can definitely go there. And I believe he checks in at 7,900 still on FanDuel. FanDuel is just, they've already entered their all-star break mode. So as they're not really adjusting any salaries, as we can see, SGA has remained at 8,200. I like that compared to his 9K and DK. Malcolm Brogdon has shooting guard eligibility on 8K. I think we can consider that. He came off a 40-point fantasy game, was very efficient from the field. I believe he went 12 of 15. Bradley Beal on the other side of things, we know what his upside can be. And I know the Clippers matchup is something that we should not be looking forward to, but if there's no Kawhi, even if there's Kawhi, I think that price tag with 3-point bonus, there are definitely ways for Beal to still get north of 50 fantasy points. Devin Booker versus Golden State. Oh, man, that ejection was the sorriest of ejections that I've seen.
Somebody send me a screenshot where they were winning like 5K plus with Devin Booker going completely off. I mean, he had like the pure nuts. Would have definitely been in the running for the 100K, but that was gut-wrenching.
God, you got to send that guy, the referee, an invoice for that. That was just brutal. 7,600 on FanDuel. Yeah, I think we can definitely consider that as a strong option. And Kelly Oubre is still out. I don't know how Wiggins will pick up any usage today or anything, but he's not doing well currently against Portland, so maybe not an option to consider tomorrow, but can be in play at 6,200 where it's roster too. And as long as OKC keeps getting blown out, Ty Jerome has been picking up the blowout run minutes, and he's been performing. He's priced at 3,900 on FanDuel and 3,400 on DK. Very kind of cheap price tag. Or if you're projecting any blowouts in your game scripts, I think there's a guy you can consider. Over there in DraftKings, Derrick Rose is questionable. If you were to play, I'll have interest versus Detroit. We forgot a point guard to mention. Dennis Smith Jr. did pick up a triple-double today. He's going back against the Knicks tomorrow. If Jeremy Grant is out, I think he'll be very popular, and maybe it's a time to hop off, but 4,800, and the minutes were kind of solid against the Raptors tonight.
And
Maybe
Saban Lee got put up 36 in 20 minutes today, too. I mean, Detroit, I did not see them just dominating Toronto tonight. What a time to be alive.
Yeah, they shot lights out from three. Wayne Ellington and Rodney Magruder both had north of 30 fantasy points. Steve Mcconnell got there, was very popular tonight on DraftKings. I mean, by popular on a 10-game slate, he was just under at 20%, which is pretty high for Steve Mcconnell on any slate. So to see how well Detroit performed today was very impressive. Underman team against an underman Raptors team. Terrence Davis was very disappointing on the other side of things, but if you were to start against Boston, kind of a low-owned play, kind of go back based on recency bias. And speaking of recency bias, D'Anthony Melton was sensational. His price went up to $4,700. I think it's time to hop off.
I probably have to agree with that. You didn't bring up my guy, who I have 15% of, let it be known, on FanDuel today. Buddy Hield.
My God.
I know.
My God.
He is your guy. It's just what it is. In a world treaded by water. That's the scary trailer. Oh, by the way, Spags is giving me crap. He's like, you're going to do a bunch of your funny voices. I saved them all for you, Rinpack. You're welcome. Didn't bust any of them out today when I hosted the Deeper Dive with Adam Scherer today. First time listener, long time caller. Or other way around. Anyway, and you crushed it on the strategy show. Slate Starter Podcast, doing all the things over here at Awesemo. But yeah, Buddy Hield, your boy, 6,400 on FanDuel. I might have to have a little bit for old time's sake up against Portland, because let's be serious, nobody at Portland really likes defense either. Is that it?
Yeah,
is that it?
That's completely... that's a completely great take that you had right there.
Thank you. I was going to say, oh, God, I just hate Brandon Ingram today. Just one day, I'm going to hate Brandon Ingram. Top end of small forward over on FanDuel. Kawhi Leonard, 9,700. Jimmy Butler, 9,500 up against New Orleans. If you were to go, both of those guys are sitting there with that lovely questionable tag. Maybe they're going to start their all-star break a little bit early, but Kawhi Leonard doesn't seem like the guy who's very interested in going and partying in Atlanta. So I'm pretty sure that if he's able to play, he's going to play. Was that a look like maybe he does like to party? I'm not too sure about that. Do you know something I don't know?
There's a legendary Kawhi Leonard video of just having the claw with a dancer just on the dancer. It's a legendary video. It's in the Twitter sphere somewhere. Maybe I'll make an appearance during All-Star weekend. Speaking of All-Star, Kawhi Leonard is your reigning All-Star MVP, so keep that in mind. Maybe he's gearing up to go back-to-back, taking a rest. Maybe he's entering his All-Star break.
Just like that. Man, this show is really off the rails today. Why are we so goofy? I love the game of basketball.
I love Kawhi if he was going to play, though. $9,100.
There you go. Just keep it going. Funnel it in.
It's a fantastic smash play. 9,700 on FanDuel. Sign me up. I know he burned everyone else, but hopefully he can carry the guys who roster him tomorrow to the top of leaderboards.
Fortunately, that's the first game off the bat, so we should have that news. Jimmy Butler, we'll be waiting for till 5:30. Good Lord, out here. So 8:30 on the East Coast for you guys. So that'll be fun, because I'm sure, just like everything, we're gonna have to wait for that news. Jaylen Brown, 8,400 down there on FanDuel. No thanks. Brandon Ingram, again, I just had to bring it up because he's very hurtful. Of course, this will be the spot now against Miami. I'm happy to jump right back on top of that. 7,800, no problem on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, might be tough for me at 8,300 in this matchup, but he's my guy. You got to roll, right?
All right, yeah, I think this is like exactly with the Leonard situation. He hurt a lot of people tonight. He hurt me. He hurt you. And he hurt many people on FanDuel. I think we go right back to him. And I know it's a back-to-back. I'm not too concerned. I think Ingram should be in a fine bounce-back spot against the Heat. I know 8,300 versus the Heat might not be something that checks a lot of people's boxes, but if there's no Butler, I think it's a nice option, especially in FanDuel, where we need to roster to. Spending down for some guys over there in FanDuel, it's a little tough, man. I think Michael Porter Jr. needs to be considered 6,800. They only needed 25 minutes of him against Milwaukee as they blew out the doors in Milwaukee against the Bucks. Pretty impressive performance by Denver the other night. I think we can definitely consider him. Jason Tatum has small forward eligibility on DK. I think that's a nice option to consider. And I'll have interest in Jeremy Grant on DraftKings if he were to play. I think against the Knicks, maybe they're just ruling him out precautionary for the whole All-Star break. Just keep in mind, if Grant were to go, all systems go. I like Grant quite a bit. On FanDuel, Will Barton's has been priced up now to 5,600. Still kind of in play, playing mid 30 minutes. I know it's been a while since we've seen Barton at that price tag, and he's performed well last couple times out. Sadiq Bey was disappointing today. If Grant were to be out, we go right back to him, in my opinion. I know the minutes were kind of not there, but they were just rolling with the hot hand of Magruder, Steve Mikhailuk, Wayne Ellington. They really didn't need Bey today. So that's kind of what happened over there for Detroit. I think Justin Holiday deserves a mention. Guy's playing 37 minutes, 30 minutes at 4,500.
Unreal.
The guy can pick up a ton of steals for you and kind of get you there on FanDuel.
And then also on FanDuel, I'll throw out two other guys. Nicholas Batum is 4,200. If Kawhi ends up being out, which again, I would hope we would have that news before lock, that's a great number to be paying for 30 minutes of Nicholas Batum. I think he's probably still somewhat viable against Washington, even if Kawhi does play. He was in that starting unit, though. I would probably have a little bit of exposure no matter what. That's just a really good number. And then over on DraftKings, I just accidentally clicked it out. So we'll finish over here on FanDuel. We've got Doug McDermott, 4K was the other guy that I was going to throw out. He ended up playing with that tooth deal, played 23 minutes, wasn't beautiful. But again, small forward down here at the bottom end gets really, really hairy now that some of these prices have been accounted for a little bit. I guess Vlatko Kensar, is that how you say his last name? Kensar?
Vlatko Konkar.
Okay, Konkar. Okay, so he's 3,500. He's the flat min over on FanDuel as well. There were some late slates, 2 gamers that I ended up firing up a little bit of him at 3,500. You could do worse for somebody who plays 20, 22 minutes there at the bottom end. But again, not like advertising that. That's more of like a turbo slate, fire up something to be a little bit different. I don't think that I'll really get to any, not somebody that's like an appealing fantasy option. But again, just looking at anybody who would be like remotely viable down there, he would kind of be it for me. That's all I have.
No, I think a 9-game slate might be a little too cute, but I do see a merit of just finding some salary relief and going down to him.
Oh, thank you so much. See, now you're defending my takes now too. Oh man, this show is all kind of backwards. All right, going to power forward, top end on FanDuel again. We'll stick over there because again, clicked out of DraftKings. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 11,300. It's Giannis against Memphis. This seems like this could get really, really fun. Julius Randle, 9,300 up against Detroit. We know Julius Randle and his crazy assist rate. It doesn't really matter how slow paced this matchup is going to be. It's going to look really, really bad on paper, right? Like this is going to be a low total game, but I'm still going to have a lot of interest in Julius Randle no matter what, looking at all the things he does for this team. Tom Thibodeau just running these dudes into the ground. Only played 30 minutes in that San Antonio game. They got absolutely blown out of the water. He didn't come back in the fourth, so that was sad times. Domantas Sabonis, 9,200 against Denver. This would be like a showcase spot. Domantas Sabonis was questionable today, ended up playing. I'm curious what that might mean for his status tomorrow. I'm guessing he's good to go, but who really knows there? I know he's subbing in now for the All-Star game, correct?
That is correct. He's an all-star reserve.
Yep. So then Jason Tatum, 9K, last guy to bring up. No thanks. Even against Toronto, he just disappoints me and makes me sad. Talk to me about the top end of power forward.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of power forward options to consider, especially for tomorrow. We got, obviously on top over there on FanDuel, we got Giannis, Sabonis, Tatum, Randall, all in some great spots. Zion Williamson is now officially matchup proof. I think he's on an absolute. But at this point, we can still go to Zion Williamson. And then Chris Boucher, 6,600, someone we should definitely consider. I know he didn't start and some people hopped off of him. I still rode with him, just thought there could be a ceiling in him.
Oop, just lost you there
Took
for a
little
second.
bit of luck, got
there
some few stocks at the end.
Sorry, just cut out for a second. We are back. I'm clicking out of some stuff for you.
Yeah, Boucher. Boucher is definitely someone we can definitely consider at $6,600. Seems like a nice position to pay up for, especially on FanDuel tomorrow. Over there in DK, I think going to some guys such as Ingram, Giannis make a ton of sense. Even Porter Jr. is in play at $6,800. And Tatum definitely needs consideration against his depleted Toronto team. So we saw what Detroit did to this Toronto team today. It's maybe Tatum and Brown's turn to do what they did. And Zion deserves a mention, even at $9,300.
I love all of those things. Yeah, Zion is just out of his mind good right now. Looking at these Sacramento prices, I mean, they finally adjusted to the fact that Harrison Barnes plays 1 million minutes. It was really fun jamming him on DraftKings. Jamming him in no more at 7,100. That still seems a little bit big. Marvin Bagley up to 6,700. I mean, this Sacramento-Portland game is one that I would want to have a lot of interest in, but the price tags are just a little bit prohibitive on both sides. Harrison Barnes being $7K over on FanDuel at small forward, and then going down to Bagley, 6,800. So those are both big jumps, even from where they're at today against the Lakers. Chris Boucher, again, really like that call. Davis Bertans, somebody that we know can spike a shooting upside at any given time. He's sitting at 4,700 on DraftKings, where you want to be playing him because you do get that little 3-point bonus. Might have some shares of him tomorrow down there under a 5K price tag. I would much rather play him than Doug McDermott, who's 100 less. Nicholas Batum is down there at 4,200 again on DraftKings. I would be very interested in going to a little bit of that. Nemanja Bjelica is having a pretty good first half here up against the Lakers as well, so that'll be an interesting thing to see. Again, we just never really know with those Luke Walton rotations, but 4K, I might be willing to take a couple shots on him over on DraftKings as well. 4,400 on FanDuel, probably a pass. Anybody else you want to touch with on the bottom end?
Yeah, down at the bottom, I think there seems like on a 9-game slate, we saw a bunch of random scrubs get there today, so on a 9-game slate, if you think there's some sort of merit to going into guys like Obi Toppin, $3,100. He played 26 minutes last time. Obviously, the game script worked out for him. It's Detroit. Maybe Thibodeau saw something in Toppin. Maybe he wants to give some minutes. I'm kidding. Thibodeau doesn't give a damn about rookies. He just wants to run the bets into the ground. But there's like little guys like that. I think Kelly Olynyk, $4,700. A team that might not have Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler is traveling with the team. Maybe he's just being a good teammate to support him in New Orleans. Maybe he wants to find a way to party in New Orleans before the All-Star break. That's my thing. But I think Olynyk, if no Butler, should be in consideration. And Yuta Watanabe started today, was very, very disappointing.
That's an understatement. That was the one thing that I took away from the NBA strategy show. I was like, Rinpak said Yuta Watanabe is playable. That was great when he was in the starting lineup.
He was starting. I mean, I think that
starting lineup was garbage, by the way. I'm just throwing that out there.
Clearly, Nick Nurse did not have any say in the starting lineup. It was a scrub assistant coach who might not have another job. No, I'm just kidding. I think this Toronto coaching staff is a great coaching staff, and they'll have things figured out when all systems go. But power forward is just kind of rough outside of the studs.
Agreed with you. Yeah, sorry, my allergies just went nuts there. If you saw me freaking out there, God, it's just so bad. This show has been absolutely out of its mind. I apologize to everybody involved. No, I don't. Screw you guys. We're doing great. We're just fine. Going to the top end, by the way, just letting it be known. Center over on DraftKings. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 11,000. We've got Nikola Jokic, 10,900. Both of them just fantastic options. Nikola Jokic, my God, played on back-to-backs, 77, 74.5. I expect his ownership to be to the moon tomorrow coming off of those two games, no matter what, on both sides. Domantas Sabonis, then 9,800. Julius Randle, 9,600. We got Bam Adebayo, who's questionable, which is a big piece of news there for Miami. You could be looking at Kelly Olynyk. You could be looking at Precious Achiuwa season. That would be a fun season. I would like that very much. Talk to me about the top end of center.
Nikola Jokic and everyone else. Obviously, what a sensational performance he had the other night. The guy, it's him and Embiid. They are definitely looking at each other's box scores. I know in post-game interviews that they're lying, but they are looking at each other's box scores and just one-upping each other every single night. It'll be fun to see them both go kind of head-to-head on the All-Star game. It'll be fun to see how that ends up going. Maybe they end up on the same team. It'll be fun to see who Durant and LeBron draft first overall. I believe LeBron has the first overall pick due to more fan votes.
By the way, we're going to be doing the All-Star show together, I believe, on Sunday. Is that a fact?
That might be in the works. Stay tuned on the Awesemo _com Twitter streams. That might be in the works. I I have not heard the final word yet, but that might be in the works. So
we'll find out. We'll find out.
Yeah, no, definitely. Your guys' support has been the reason why we were able to crack the strategy show and the deeper dive today. So that's a huge reason why we can make it there. So thanks so much for all of you guys who've been tuning in and day out. It means a lot to us. But in center, Giannis has center eligibility. Came off a very disappointing game. I was disappointed. I was pretty high on him against this Denver team. I'm going to go right back to him. I think there's a spot for a massive upside to show up before the All-Star game. And DeAndre Ayton versus Golden State, sign me up. I know they didn't need much of him against the Lakers matchup, but I think we can go back to DeAndre Ayton versus Golden State. And last time, I believe they played Golden State, they blew them out by almost 30 points, if I'm not mistaken. So, sorry, it was 20 points. It was the Frank Kaminsky game where he went berserk.
It was more than that, though, towards the end of the fourth. The margin was larger than what it finished out, and then Kaminsky played that blowout run, and it was bonkers.
Yeah, it was Frank Kaminsky's career game, I want to say. So keep that in mind. And Chris Boucher, I like the $6,600 price tag. Seems like a spot to take advantage of. Yeah, he might come off the bench again. Just be cautious. A pure GPP play, I wouldn't consider him in cash.
Yeah, check out the boom bust tool a lot tomorrow because I'm very curious. On FanDuel, we've got Jokic at 11,600, and then the next center is DeAndre Ayton at 7,500, which, you know, the disparity there is absolutely outrageous, $4,100 between the centers there. Is there like an ownership number that you would have off the top of your head, like 40% Jokic tomorrow? Let's say that he was going to be 40%. Would you want over or under that on FanDuel?
On FanDuel, since it's such a 9-game slate, I would be willing to go under. I don't think he'll come in at 40, but definitely under. There's a guy, Nerlens Noel, now has center eligibility. Is 5'5" versus Detroit. Put up 40 against Detroit 2 games ago. Kind of got there for people last time when he was a power forward, but now it's center on FanDuel. I like that price tag for Nerlens Noel. And really hard for me to really go under him on FanDuel, especially tomorrow. I think he is actually. I could go to Olynyk at 4-4 if there was no Butler.
Sitting there 4-4.
Yeah. So I kind of misspoke there, but Nerlens Noel works out as a great play and pivot off a Jokic where he's 11-6, $6,000 on a 9-game slate can do a lot for you.
Yeah, FanDuel kind of made a good move there for the most part, rather than having to do Randall and Noel there together, considering they are obviously power forward and center in this rotation right now. That works out great. Hopefully that does move some of the ownership over, because I'm going to be over 40% Nikola Jokic is kind of what I'm getting at, but that's just kind of the guy I am. I'm an absolute Jokic homer. Anybody else that you want to touch base with, or anything you want to talk about on the slate in general?
It's a huge 9-game slate. It's the game before the All-Star break. News, late swap. Just throughout the whole night. It's going to be important. And if you late swap efficiently tonight, I think you are finding yourself to be profitable, and hopefully some things fall your way. But it's going to be another replay of today. That's tomorrow. Huge slate. Lots of news that could be on the table, as we saw that broke throughout the night.
So is news important? Is that what you're... Oh, okay, got it. You're saying news is important. That's great. And late swap, that's another thing that seems pretty awesome. Yeah, guys, I was being sarcastic there earlier. We absolutely love you guys. This has been such an amazing first half of the season. Can't tell you how much Renpack and I appreciate you. I'll just speak for myself. I appreciate you guys so unbelievably much. To be able to find a home here at Awesemo, to be able to find a podcast with one of my besties, just to be able to talk basketball every single night. I feel so lucky and privileged to be able to do this with you guys. Thank you so much for the support, for all the other good things. I'm really going to enjoy this All-Star break for sure. I'll take a nap or two. That'll be fun. I haven't done that in a while. So I'm looking forward to it, but I hope you guys have a great time too. Make sure you jump over and check the NHL product that Jake Hari and a couple of the other guys over there at Awesemo are putting together. They've helped me along the way get better at my NHL DFS game. They can definitely help you too. And it is the show in town. You've got MMA on Saturday, NASCAR Sunday, golf this weekend for the Arnold Palmer Invitational, but definitely check out all the other goodies we got. Anything else, Renpack?
No, thanks so much for joining us in the first half. We really appreciate you guys' support. Make sure to hit the like button, leave us a nice review on the Apple Podcasts. And thanks so much for tuning in for this first half. We will catch you next Wednesday.
Later.